Hi folks, I'm Steve Hindy for Showing Animals Respect and Kindness, or SHARK. This video reviews a very active 2013 that isn't over yet for the SHARK team. Many of you are acquainted with the acclaimed public television series called Nova. On January 23, 2013, Nova did a segment on drones, including the use of the Angels, my camera-equipped remote-controlled aircraft. Cowardly animal abusers are on the run from SHARK's long-range cameras. They're hiding behind trees, fences, and enormous screens, and sometimes the Angel is the only device capable of catching the bad guys. That point was proven anew in September, when the Angel again caught illegal burning of pigeon bodies at the Wing Point Canned Hunt Club. The Angels are marvels of technology. They're terrific at documenting abuse, and they send sick, twisted animal abusers into a paranoid frenzy. What's not to love? The pigeon shooters have done their best to shoot the Angels down. Shoot-down attempts are criminal acts, but Pennsylvania's corrupt law enforcement refuses to do anything because Pennsylvania law enforcement has connections to the abuse. For example, the infamous Philadelphia Gun Club has a retired Bensalem Township police officer named David Klee to play thug against protesters. Pennsylvania State Police Lodge 65 has a pigeon shooter named Adolph Joseph Antonavage as legal counsel. But psychotic animal abusers and crooked police aside, the Angels continue to fly, so cowards, beware. Last January, a Chicago alderman named James Kappelman thought it was a good idea to have pigeons rounded up in his ward to send to live pigeon shoots. Of course, Kappelman didn't admit the pigeons were to be shot. Our investigation proved that the pigeons were being captured by a notorious Indiana pigeon shoot supplier named Herb Govert. Extensive media coverage and protest with hundreds of supporters brought the curtain down on Kappelman's scheme and sent Govert running for cover. At the end of January, I went to trial in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I was charged with one count of assault and another charge of harassment for defending myself from an attack at a pigeon shoot at the infamous Philadelphia Gun Club, or PGC. The charges were a setup by corrupt Bucks County District Attorney David Heckler, based on an outrageous fantasy spun by an employee of the PGC. The bad guys figured if they got rid of me, they'd get rid of SHARK. District Attorney Heckler knew the insane and ever-expanding claims of the supposed victim was false, but he prosecuted me all the same. After a 2-day trial, an intelligent jury found me not guilty of assault, and Judge Clyde Waite, the best judge I ever saw, found me not guilty of harassment. I'm not used to things working correctly in Pennsylvania, so I was stunned when I received a fair trial in Bucks County. This made me realize in a big way that Pennsylvania's corruption, massive though it is not representative of Pennsylvania citizens generally. We'll be doing a separate video to expose the insane case against me in Bucks County. The day after I was acquitted, the SHARK team was at another pigeon shoot at the PGC. The thug who attacked me 10 months earlier was there again, and this time he first harassed and then nearly attacked SHARK investigator Stu Chaffetz, hitting Stu's boat with a walking stick. The image of the altercation is out of focus, but the audio was picked up.
Okay, you know what? I will sue your ass for every penny, because not only have you tried to, you went to the police.
Say, scumbag, get off the property.
Hey,
now.
do not touch my boat.
Get off the property. Get off the property! You're threatening me, you cocksucker! Get off the property now! This guy's threatening me!
You do realize all this is being videoed?
I don't care if it's being videoed. You're threatening me. Get off the property. Get out of here.
Throughout the year, we went after Pennsylvania's cruel and illegal pigeon shoots. These slaughters violate Pennsylvania Humane Law 5511, which states that animals may not be abandoned, ill-treated, or cruelly treated, all of which happens at pigeon shoots. Law enforcement, such as the Bensalem Police, the State Police, and the U.S. Coast Guard have chosen to allow well-heeled, out-of-state psychopaths to use Pennsylvania as a toilet. Aiding in the effort to maintain the state's toilet status, Pennsylvania journalists largely ignore the horrific and illegal slaughters. Pennsylvania is so screwed up, even local humane organizations near pigeon shoot sites, such as the Women's Humane Society, refuse to take part in bird rescues, won't press for criminal prosecutions, and won't even admit these slaughters are illegal. That's why we call Pennsylvania a broken state. We used boats to rescue wounded pigeons at the disgusting PGC, which lies on the banks of the Delaware River. After rescue, the birds were transported by boat to the other side of the river, where a medical team gave them further care. In April, shark investigator Stu Chaffetz confronted one pigeon shooter on the streets of Dover, Delaware. The shooter, John Sigler, is a former president of the National Rifle Association and was at the time the head of the Delaware GOP. Stu gave Sigler a chance to talk about blasting pigeons out of boxes, but Sigler showed his true colors and ran away. A couple weeks later, Stu went to the annual convention of the Delaware GOP and informed attendees of Sigler's sick preoccupation with animal slaughter. Nevertheless, Sigler was re-elected as GOP head, but a seed had been planted. Just 1 month later, John Sigler unceremoniously resigned as the head of the Delaware GOP. Good riddance, John. The party, any party, is better off without you. In May came a real treat. A few members of the shark team were able to meet television legend and extraordinary animal protector Bob Barker, who graciously agreed to record a statement against Pennsylvania's pigeon shoots.
I hope you'll join me in asking your state representatives and senators to do the right thing and pass legislation to specifically ban pigeon shoots.
This was a great time for us. Bob Barker is a true hero who stood up for animals long before it was the fashionable thing to do in Hollywood or anywhere else. Bob's generosity also made it possible for Shark to do much of the work that we've done over the past few years. Meeting Bob Barker in person is something that we will always remember and treasure. Moving from the best to the worst, on July 15th, 13 armed agents from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department conducted an armed raid on the St. Francis Animal Shelter. The mission of these officers wasn't to capture Osama bin Laden. He's already dead. No, these stormtroopers were out to capture a 22-pound fawn. That's right, a baby deer, named Giggles, no less. I realize this sounds insane, but we can't make this stuff up. We submitted a public records request, and what a story those documents told. These armed officers deemed Giggles such a threat that they spent weeks conducting surveillance, including aerial surveillance, before their big raid. These clowns apparently spent too much time together watching Zero Dark 30. After stocking up on junk food at the taxpayers' expense, again, we can't make this stuff up, these brave boys and girls captured and killed Giggles. Well done, soldiers. Way to keep the homeland safe. Shark was only too happy to give the shelter support in getting the word out. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker showed what he's made of by not punishing a single individual involved in the Giggles killing. Yes, Scott, you're made of the very same stuff as your stormtroopers. Walker's paid a heavy political price for his cruelty and cowardice. And know this, Walker, pull out this garbage again against this shelter or anyone else, and Shark will be only too happy to return. In July, New Jersey's Cowtown Rodeo killed a horse named Duke. Duke went down just seconds after he was illegally shocked with an electric prod. Duke's death was reported nationally. Predictably, Cowtown's propaganda assured the world that its horses are well treated and considered to be members of the family. The usual propaganda was only believed by the gullible fools who find the torment of animals to be entertaining. A few months later, Cowtown was caught sending 9 of its supposed family members to an auction house, which is known as a conduit for the slaughter industry. In a Cowtown Facebook post, which was quickly deleted, the horses weren't called family members. They were called, quote, unproductive bucking horses, unquote. Predictably, the horses were bought by a killer buyer, and it was off to the slaughterhouse. Rodeo animals are treated like family members? Another rodeo lie exposed. In Reno, Nevada, after 2 years of being embarrassed and exposed by shark video cameras for shocking horses, Reno rodeo promoters decided the way to deal with the problem was not to stop the abuse, but but rather to ban video cameras. The ban didn't apply to phone cameras, however, and it was the phone camera of a Reno resident that once again caught rodeo thugs shocking a horse and poking him with a wire, this time in the anus. A shark investigator caught the same stock contractor, Cotton Rosser's Flying U Rodeo, shocking horses and messing with their butts again in Nephi, Utah, just a few weeks later. These are some really sick, twisted people. In Jordan Valley, Oregon, they love to abuse horses. They rope their front legs and cheer when the horses crash to the ground. The Big Loop Rodeo and the Malheur County Sheriff's Department are joined at the hip, with sheriff's deputies actually on the rodeo board.
And I ran his ID.
You ran my... Are you a police officer?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't even know that, but...
Hey, and he's on the rodeo board. That's what gives him the authority to kick you out of there.
That's my authority.
This led the deputies to believe they could bully and in one case even assault shark investigators. We used not only our cameras, but through an official records request, the deputies' cameras to expose these crooked cops.
So we're going off what we were told. I wasn't there. God, we're going to get sued. That's right. We're going to be on a world record. It's all because of that rodeo board. You know that, right? Well, damn it, I was still recording.
The deputies were willing to abuse their authority, but now they are learning that there is a big price to be paid. These police officers are now the targets of federal lawsuits by 2 shark investigators and me. To the corrupt Malheur County Sheriff's Department, happy holidays, boys. Here's to seeing you again at the Big Loop Rodeo in 2014. A few weeks later, there was more horse tripping, this time in Harney County, Oregon. The phony cowboys said they wouldn't allow video cameras or cameras with long-range lenses, but as at the Big Loop Rodeo, the rule applied only to us. We stepped outside the rodeo grounds and erected 2 high pods, which can raise our cameras 30 feet into the air and film the entire event. The animal abusers tried to block us, first with horses, then with trailers, but we filmed the cruelty and put it on the internet for the world to see. Another noteworthy rodeo was the California Rodeo in Salinas, California, where rodeo veterinarian Tim Eastman claimed that there were just 3 animal injuries. However, Shark's cameras filmed 23 injuries. Big difference. Again, we proved that the rodeo mafia's low injury claims are a lie. It would have been nice to have worked with the local SPCA for Monterey County, but that organization proved to be way too cozy with the rodeo. The Cheyenne Frontier Days Rodeo in Cheyenne, Wyoming was, as usual, a bloodbath. This horse was killed, as well as numerous calves and steers. Not surprisingly, Cheyenne once again won the Large Outdoor Rodeo of the Year award from the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. Brutality, injuries, and deaths are what rodeos are all about, and the more brutality, the more awards a rodeo gets. We investigated rodeos in 10 states around the U.S. in 2013, which marked our 21st year of documenting and exposing rodeo animal cruelty, corruption, and cowardice. Most rodeos still shock animals. The 2013 National Finals Rodeo, the World Series of Rodeo, shocked horses. Not only is rodeo not legitimate entertainment, it isn't even legitimate competition. Some of the mistreatment is absolutely perverse. These people shouldn't be allowed around animals or children. Rodeo abuse is industry-wide. It is amazing that there are people who fail to see that treating any animal like this is abusive. How can anyone be so ignorant as to believe that rodeo is based on real ranch work? It doesn't matter where you go around the country, every rodeo is made of phony cowboys. Only the cruelty and corruption is real. Rodeo is America's shame. The Shark team filmed 2 Barnyard Scrambles, idiotic events in which young children are encouraged to trample and maul small animals. One scramble was not surprisingly at a rodeo in Riverside, California, and the other was in Martinsville, Illinois. Unfortunately, the Central California SPCA in Fresno County, California, refused to take any action or make any effort whatsoever to stop the abuse, in spite of our graphic video documentation. Once advised of the event, Fresno County Sheriff's Department stated that the Riverside Scramble was illegal. The Scramble in Martinsville, Illinois also violates the Illinois Humane Care for Animals Act, but the Clark County State's Attorney failed to take any action. Some of the folks in Martinsville weren't satisfied with being exposed for abusing animals. They wanted us to see even more of their character, or shall I say, the lack thereof. So they made a few calls.
Let me tell you one thing. Okay, you think that's animal abuse? You see what we do to our freaking pigs.
Mind your own freaking business. The kids did not, nothing was harmed in the act of that. It was all in fun and games. Just remove that video or you're gonna not, it won't be pretty.
Yeah, I was calling about your little fucking epidemic here in Martinsville, Illinois, and I'd like for you to know that my family has more money than your little communist group ever will have, and we always will. We own everything in this town. We don't appreciate fellas along your fucking discreet. We don't need that high gene pool down here. We got the perfect gene pool, and if you don't like it, you could just go swim somewhere else.
Some people don't want us to merely believe they're unethical animal abusers. They want to remove all doubt. Perhaps the most positive development of 2013 is that a law has been passed to stop the cruelty of horse tripping in the state of Oregon. I say hopefully because the rodeo mafia watered the law down so much before it was passed that there's a question as to just how effective it will be. 2014 will answer that question, and the Shark team will be there to document. We are poised to expose animal abusers in a big way in 2014, nationwide and beyond. The abusers can run, but with our technology and determination, they can't hide. I'm sorry to say that the United States of America has become very corrupt, from one end of the country to the other. There are plenty of elected officials and law enforcement willing to sell themselves and their positions of authority. We need a compassionate, nonviolent revolution to expose, fight, and end animal abuse. I find it ironic that people talk about peace on earth at this time of year because there's a never-ending war against animals. Even those who don't particularly care about animals should know that those who are violent against animals tend to be violent against people also. That means we cannot have peace on earth for ourselves so long as we wage war against those with whom we share this planet. If you care about animals, about your family and friends, about your country, and about the world we all live on, it's time to get involved. Make calls, write letters. If possible, take to the killing fields or the arenas of torture. Don't wait for someone else to change the world. Be the change you wish to see. This is Steve Hindy for Showing Animals Respect and Kindness.
Showing Animals Respect and Kindness, or SHARK, works nationwide and beyond to protect all creatures, great and small. On the land, in the water, and in the air, we are on the front lines of animal protection, advocating for the forgotten.